Before we start, if everyone else could please put their mute on, we can just hear some interference and TVs in the background. Be ready here in a minute. Give me a minute here, okay?
I have a very different vision for the color. Okay. So
Okay, Lori, is everyone else ready? Board members? Dr. Pastor?
Yep.
Okay. Lori, could you pull the agenda up, please? Thanks, Laura. If everybody else could please mute in order to be able to hear everyone. Okay. The Meet and Discuss Board meeting of the Ambridge Area School District is held on Wednesday, August 12, 2020. This meeting is being held to go over the agenda for the regular monthly board meeting that will be held on Wednesday, August 19, 2020 at 7 p.m. virtually. Please rise for the flag salute. Do we have a picture, Laura? Thank you. I pledge allegiance
To the flag
of
of
the
the United States of America and to the republic
for which
for which it stands,
one
one
nation,
nation,
under
Under
God,
God,
indivisible,
with
with
liberty
liberty and
and
justice
justice
for
for
all.
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 This meeting is being recorded for district purposes. It is or may be published in part or in its entirety on the district's website without the express permission of meeting participants. Can I have a roll call, please, Mrs. Mueller?
Yes. Mr. Angus,
Here.
Mr. Campbell,
Here.
Mrs. Kehoe,
Here.
Mrs. Mylan,
Here,
Miss Pedigo,
Here.
Miss Young,
You know what? She had to phone in because she couldn't. Miss Turnbull?
Yes.
Miss Young's, she cannot respond. She just sent me a message asking for somebody to read her legislative as well. So how do we go about for roll call for her?
So
I'm here, present.
there she is. That's good.
Finally, thank you.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Welcome and thank you.
and Mrs. Fisher.
Here.
7 present.
Thank you.
And the Sunshine Law.
Yep. Yes.
The Board of School Directors held an executive session on Tuesday, July 28th and Wednesday, August 12th to discuss personnel matters and matters subject to attorney-client privilege and other confidentiality laws.
Thank you. One second, I'm having trouble pulling mine up as well. Give me 1 second here.
They did have an executive session on July 28th. Oh, that's me.
Ms. Heim, right now we're showing the meet and discuss non-voting agenda. Would you be able, do you have access?
She's on the way back. With the stuff.
Ms. Heim, do you have access to the meet and discuss voting meeting agenda portion so we can coordinate that first? Perfect. Thank you. It looks a little bit different. So
Thank you, Lori. Okay, if you could scroll down a little bit, Laura. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, no amendments to the agenda or approval of the agenda this evening. Moving down to presentations, we will begin with the school board candidate presentations and question and answer session. Kathleen Curtis, if you could please unmute her, Lori. Kathleen,
Yes, I can hear you, Kathy.
thank you. First of all, if you would like to speak for a few minutes and give us a little background information, and then and this will be for all candidates. We'll have a few questions for each of you.
Okay. My name is Kathleen Curtis. I've lived in Economy Borough for 16 years. I have a daughter that graduated from Ambridge, and I have two granddaughters that currently attend Ambridge. One is in Economy Elementary, and one will be attending the junior high this year. My background, education-wise, I have an associate's degree in elementary education, and I have a bachelor's degree in business. I worked in the construction field. I have substituted in schools in the South and worked alongside my kids' teachers throughout their education. I want to be on the board at this particular time because I believe that I can give a lot of time to the administrators to help them through this process, to help the other board members. I work well with a lot of different people. I can come up with different ideals, and I can also take somebody's ideal, run with it, or help them and come up with a better ideal, whatever works in a large group setting. That's about all I have.
Thank you, Kathleen. Okay, your first question, what motivates you to want to become a board member? You answered a little bit of that. Can you elaborate on it at all?
Yeah, I would like to give back to my community. And I think by stepping into this board position is a good step for me to give back and try to help everybody in my community. And it keeps me in touch with the school system that my granddaughters are going to, and gives me a good playing field for that.
Thank you. And what changes should be made on the state and local level regarding public education? What your opinion?
I'm not sure about jumping in and saying that I need to say what changes need to be made. I want to get in and, as they say, get my feet wet, get a feel for the system from the inside. I can look at it from the side that I've been all these years on the outside, but I want to look at it from the inside and see where those changes need to be made and how we can go about making those changes with this board.
Okay. Thank you, Kathleen.
You're welcome.
James Fabricio, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. I apologize if I butchered it.
You are. You got it right. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Welcome, James. And if you take a few minutes to give us a little background, please.
Sure. Yeah, I kind of prepared a quick statement that'll hopefully cover some of why I want to join the school board. So I'll just take a few minutes to go through that if that's okay.
Absolutely.
Awesome. So I'd like to be on the Ambridge Area School District School Board for a number of reasons. As an educator myself, I'm a parent of 3 students in the district and a member of the Ambridge community for the past 12 years. I believe that being a part of shaping and providing direction for the future education that's going to take place here is of the utmost importance and something I'd be honored and believe I'm qualified to do. It's my belief that education is one of the most vital institutions within a community. And as such, access to quality education that takes into consideration the needs of all community members, so students and their families, teachers and administrators, the community at large is essential. Having worked in education for the past 6+ years, I've seen the importance of building bridges between all of these parties and providing that quality education, but also breaking down barriers that hinder access and equity. So with my background studying and building a career in higher education, it's really allowed me to examine and work on projects that cast overall vision for departments and institutions, but also helps implement details that bring those visions into existence in the here and now. I think particularly as we reflect on the unique and difficult times we're currently in, it's all the more important to consider how the decisions we're making now carry immense weight for the future. None of us obviously know the perfect way forward in this instance, but I believe we all share a common goal and hope to provide safe and effective learning environment for everybody involved. But with all the challenges that come with that, I also see a lot of opportunities to ensure that our diverse student body have equitable experiences regardless of the variables that exist, opportunities to consider how learning style and social engagement impact learning, and opportunities to create solutions to problems that consider all the voices and perspectives and all the reliable information we have access to. Obviously, this has all been going on already, but I really believe I can contribute to that work. My experience working with diverse populations and building inclusive services in higher education has given me a lot of skills and perspective that I believe can contribute to this conversation, as well as a lot of insight into technological methods for the current difficult situation we're in. You know, our community and area has a really deep history of building things that provide connection and lay foundations for the future. And I think our school district does and can continue to grow in its ability to honor that past and work towards the future. When students have access to quality education and faculty and administration have the tools and support they need to provide holistic learning, and families feel heard, cared for, and participatory in children's education, I think that's when everything can really thrive.
Okay, James, thank you.
Yeah.
All right, moving forward to your questions. How does, excuse me, I apologize. Can you give us your thoughts on the current and proposed budget?
Sure. So I will say that, having looked at the budget just a little bit last year, really, in the kind of compared to this year, there's certainly questions that come up as to why the initially come up as to why the fund is being dipped into so much more this year. But I also think that if ever there was a year to kind of understand that there has to be some flexibility in terms of how we're going to move forward and how we're going to provide access to education in really uncertain times, then this is the year to make sure that students' health and students' safety and teacher and administrative safety come first. And so while certainly there were some questions that did pop into my head, I think overall what I thought was, I understand the allocation of resources. I will be honest, I'd have to look a little bit more into some of the direct line items to understand exactly where that extra spending might be coming from. But those are, I guess, my initial thoughts on it.
Okay, James, thank you.
Yeah.
How does the school board balance the need to provide a quality education with the need to respond to the local taxpayer burden?
Sure. I missed the last part you said. Could you repeat the end of that?
Absolutely. How does a school board balance the need to provide a quality education with the need to respond to the local taxpayer burden?
Sure. So that's certainly a big question, but I think part of the answer has to come from what kind of is currently happening, right? Having meetings where we can kind of continue to grow the participation of the taxpayer in those meetings, making sure that as school board members we're hearing what the taxpayers are saying, right? That we understand that it is our community that's funding what we do, and being really communicative about and transparent about the costs of providing that quality education, right? Obviously, kind of the high level answer of, hey, let's be transparent and have more people involved doesn't very quickly and easily solve the problem. But I think that's kind of the foundation, is making sure that as many people are aware of what's happening and why. And then I think it's continuing to invest the time and work necessary to understand, one, what is quality education, how is that evolving, and how are there ways to provide that that don't just increase costs, but that are effective and considerate of the community at large.
Okay, James, thank you so much.
Thanks.
Jonathan Fisher.
Hi, thank you so
Hi.
much. I appreciate the time.
Absolutely. Go ahead, hon.
Sure. So I am the product of a public education. As such, I do kind of consider it almost a duty personally to make sure I'm advocating on behalf of the public school system, especially now as an adult and having a chance to kind of look back and see how I experienced it and what I can do to make it better for kids coming through the public school system today, and make it a much more appealing sort of end game for families, for the children, and hopefully they would have the experience at the end that I feel that I had, and the tools to kind of go out in the world and make a difference. I'm kind of a newcomer to the Ambridge area. I've only been in this area for about 2.5 years. I come from a much bigger and much less diverse school district, to be quite honest, but I really appreciate the opportunity that Ambridge lends me to come into a more diverse neighborhood. And I've been a big brother here since I came here, and I've really enjoyed that. My first big brother was a student in the Ambridge School District. My little brother now is actually in a different school, but it's given me the opportunity to kind of work one-on-one with the kids. And I see the school board position as a chance for me to kind of take that to the next step, not just be a big brother and make a difference on that kind of granular level, but also on a little bit of a bigger scale. I'm the director of media auditing for a marketing company. It's a very young company. I kind of helped build it from the ground up next to the owner of the company. So I believe I bring kind of that business savvy with me, but it's also very much mixed with a creative side of me. I am a working musician as well, so I definitely have a creative background to me. But I think that creativity helps me in a big way. It brings a whole different dynamic to any sort of group setting, because I think that there's an outside perspective that I can bring to something, that's sort of outside the box thinking. I also think that, especially in a time like this, one thing that I've learned, and I don't know if this comes from the creative side of me or just the business side, but I'm definitely a pragmatist kind of amidst chaos. And as I see everything that unfolds right now during these uncertain times, not just in this community, as I read the forums and look at people's thoughts and concerns, but also in the school district that I come from, I've had a chance and an opportunity to read their 17-page PDF, the plan that they were outlining for their students to come back. And I think having kind of that ability to just settle things down, think through it, and really attempt to stay away from anything that's overly dramatized is very important.
Thank you. Okay. What issues do you believe our district needs to address in our academic programs and offerings? And what changes could you recommend?
Again, as a newcomer to the district, I'm still kind of trying to learn and understand. I had a conversation just a few weeks ago with a woman in the district, and she was kind of explaining to me more of the socioeconomic dynamics of the district. So obviously, without having vast insight, it would be a difficult question for me to answer, and as far as what solutions I could bring. But I do think it's just insanely important to me as an outsider coming into this district and learning this community, that we do create a very strong sense of belonging for all of the students, especially those on the lower end of the socioeconomic ladder, and really create that equity, whether it be by inclusiveness academically, through athletics, musically, which is obviously something very near and dear to me. I think that real strong sense of inclusiveness and the student really understanding what we're there for and what we're attempting to do for them. Growing up, I don't think I had a sense of that, but I can see it now, and I'd love to be able to convey that to the students of the district. And in turn, I would hope that would ease the minds of the parents as well. James used a great word, transparency. That's number one for me. And coming from marketing, that's what I always want to really provide people is just what we're about, why we're doing it, and the best way that we can include everybody that's coming along with us.
Thank you. What do you see as the primary role of the Board of Education?
Truthfully, I think it's creating a great atmosphere for the student while doing our best to kind of stay out of the limelight, as far as there's no reason to have ego. There's no reason to think that we're above anything that's happening in the school. We're purely there as volunteers to provide a service. This is, it's something that is obviously near and dear to all of the people who will be vying for this position. And for me personally, that's what I would love to do. Just kind of keep my head down and work as a team and come up with the best possible solutions presented in the best possible ways to the public, so they understand that we're there for one reason and one reason only, and that is to create a better atmosphere for these students and to really give them a long-term plan for success in their lives. I don't think it truly needs to be anything broader, especially in a personal sense, for any member of the board. We need to be there collectively and just make sure that we can impact the community.
Thank you, Jonathan. I did want to make a note. I see that your name is spelled incorrectly up here on the agenda as I'm looking at your name.
That's okay.
So we apologize for that.
Not a problem.
My name is spelled exactly the way it's on the agenda.
I noticed. Yeah, that's
I
okay.
see that.
I missed the
All right.
C.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Okay, Denise Manganello.
Thank you for having me tonight. I would first ask that everyone listening tonight have patience and be flexible and be as kind as possible throughout this year to our school board administrators and teachers as we go through this roller coaster of a year. As a resident of Baden, I'm excited for this opportunity to volunteer my services to the district. I have 2 young boys in the district and a lifelong passion for education. My background is in education, and that is why I felt the need to apply for this empty seat. I have 20 years of education. I have served 6 years as an emotional support and alternative education teacher, and I'm certified elementary special ed administration leadership and hold my letter of eligibility. For the past 14 years, I've had the pleasure of being the administrator at Seneca Valley Academy of Choice. During this time, I've led a cyber program that partners with over 63 school districts, including Ambridge area. Through the partnership, I've had the pleasure to work with the districts in Eastern PA and Western PA. I've lived in the district for 8 years, and I've served on 2 committees within the school district so far. I'm involved in the community where my children participate in various sports. This has given me the opportunity to learn and be a part of the community pride, but also hear the frustrations. I hope with my background, I can be a supportive member to the board of directors, as well as to our school administrators and our unbelievable teachers. I want to be part of the Ambridge Area School Board to help the district be the best that it can be. I want to volunteer in an area of expertise to help stop or at least communicate and advocate appropriately the frustrations and support our community. I've chosen to live here and to send my children to Ambridge area. Therefore, I was taught that you support your community and you volunteer for your community. I hope that I can be seated and work with you all as a member of the board. Thank you.
Thank you, Denise. Your first question, what is your philosophy on surplus in the school budget?
My philosophy of surplus in the school budget is that we all need to be prepared for rainy days such as the pandemic we're in currently. But also, that is part of our entire educational system's problem. We have surpluses that are inadequate and not fair, where we have our charter schools in our neighborhoods and the cyber charters with $85 million surplus. That to me is excessive and unnecessary, and the money should be coming back to the school districts and to our children. I think that it is a waste of tax dollars that you, our board, get blamed on, where we have no control that this state has made it what it is. But I do think that within reason that you do need to have a fund balance and you need to be prepared and we need to spend money correctly.
Thank you. What are the current challenges facing education and school boards?
Well, I think the pandemic is huge, and I think our governor isn't helping any, seeing that on Monday he gave you all new regulations and guidelines at 11:18 in the morning that we now need to implement before the school year begins. So as a school board, you are expected to govern our area and to help support not only our administration, our teachers, and our community, but you must also follow the laws and the ever-changing guidelines that our governor, the CDC, and everyone is providing. So I currently think that the biggest problem is the pandemic. However, before the pandemic, I think we have larger issues than that, where our district falls into other issues. I think cyber charter schools and charter schools are a huge issue. I am not against school choice. I'm against the funding formula of school choice. I am against the lack of accountability of school choice and what it causes school board members to be accused of and not be able to explain correctly all the time to our community because of the regulations that are set again by PDE and our government. So mainly I would say the biggest issue is the laws and governing that most people don't understand within education.
Denise, thank you. Bill Metz.
Kathy, can you hear me?
Yes, I can, Bill. Go
Hey,
ahead.
how are you?
How are you?
Good.
Good.
Do you want me to just start or?
Start with your introduction.
All right. Good evening. In my opinion, the primary purpose of a school board member is to oversee the operations of a school district to provide the best possible education opportunities for the students. At the same time, a school board member must represent the community in using the school tax dollars wisely. As you know, this requires a delicate balance. To be effective, a school board member needs to keep the finger on the pulse in all of the entities, the community, students, faculty, administration. My experience as a union negotiator, union steward, coupled with my involvement with students and their parents, give me exposure to plenty of feedback and insight. With my background in the ability to separate my professional life from my personal life, I feel that I would be a great candidate for this open position on the Ambridge Area School Board, and I would consider it an honor to serve in that capacity. For the last several years, I've been certified with FEMA, part of the negotiation teams for contracts at the airport, safety committees for the Allegheny County Airport Authority for 7 years, union steward for the local 1085 laborers for 11 years, a member of the START team for the airport. As a member of the community and the father of future students of the district, I've coached for many years basketball, even girls softball. I've helped with Bridger Baseball Association and ABE soccer. I am also a part of the tip-off club for the basketball team. As a coach, parent, and a union employee, I've worked with all aspects of the community and district members. It will be an honor, as I said before, to serve on the Ambridge School Board.
Thank you, Bill.
Yes, ma'am.
What are some of the major tasks you feel the new administration should accomplish?
I think one of the biggest things going, and to go back to a few other people, is the transparency, communication, and letting the taxpayers and letting the students know that, you know, we have their back and we want to make sure everybody gets the same information throughout. And I think, like I said, communication and transparency are the two biggest things.
Okay, Bill, thank you. And as an elected board member, how would you determine budget priorities?
Well, I think the first thing before I jump into doing any of that, I guess I would have to first see before jumping into it, and then determining, I believe I could go back to what somebody said earlier, is you want to get your feet wet and see from the inside and go from there. You can't just be on my side and say, oh, I would do this, or I'd do that, or I'd do that, without even knowing any other information.
Okay, Bill, thank you very much. Kelly Ramasco.
Hi, everyone. I would like to take a few minutes to express my sincere interest in the open Ambridge School Board position, as well as to introduce myself to those of you who do not know me. I bring with me a wealth of knowledge and experience in the field of education. I have worked in the public school system for 17 years as a teacher and assistant principal. In addition to working for Ambridge and several other school districts, I've also had many years of experience as a cyber school teacher and administrator. Now more than ever, I can be of great assistance with the implementation of our new Bridger Virtual Learning Academy and making it one of the best in the area so that our kids want to stay at Ambridge and our parents feel confident that their children will receive an excellent education amidst all the uncertainty that they are feeling during this uncharted territory. Our parents want to be confident that what we have to offer at Ambridge is a program that they believe in and trust their children to be a part of. I know that my experience working in cyber education will allow me the opportunity to do just that. My allegiance will first and foremost always be to the Ambridge Area School District. My husband and I are both alumni of the district and have lived here most of our lives. We have 4 children in the district, 2 at the high school and 2 at Economy Elementary. I'm 100% committed to continuing the forward progress that has been made by our district, one of the best in the area. We have so much to be proud of, an amazing, well-educated staff of teachers, administrators, fantastic students and parents, talented athletes, and a community that supports and loves our district. I wish you the best in your quest to find the most qualified, motivated, and dedicated candidate for the school board. If you feel that is me, I will serve the district with honesty, integrity, transparency, and pure love for our Bridgers. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Kelly. First question, what is your vision for education in our district?
I would say that my #1 vision for our education, for our students in our district, is to have a very positive school culture for all of our students and all of our staff. They all need to feel very supported and loved by the community, by the students, of course, by the board. And I think that, you know, we are on a steady pace to be able to make that happen. I would like to, you know, see everything for myself and really get in there and have an idea of what exactly is going on. But from an eye level view, I think that it would be an amazing opportunity to be able to help provide that excellent education for our students that they are already, you know, receiving.
Thank you. What do you feel is the best approach to address differences of opinion on the school board?
So that is always a really difficult thing to navigate in employment and, of course, in a situation as a school board. I think that really being open and understanding while listening very closely to everybody's opinions and really trying to get at the heart of where they are coming from is extremely important. So, you know, we all have different experience, we have different backgrounds, and we have different opinions. And so really trying to get to the heart of all of that before making a judgment is very important. Also making sure to listen to community members and, you know, do your research, talk to students, talk to staff, all of those different things. So you really have a very good understanding of what the issue is at hand before kind of making that judgment. So it's really important to listen. It's very important to communicate and take the time to really understand what the issue at hand is.
Thank you, Kelly. Hannah Savage.
Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me all right?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Yes.
So good evening. My name is Hannah Savage, and just a brief introduction about myself. I have lived in Ambridge for 7 years now. I moved back to Ambridge. Here as an elementary school child myself, and back now with my husband. We have 2 elementary school kids in the district. And a little bit of my background, I've got a bachelor's degree in history, and I've spent quite a few years in the HVAC industry, and most recently I am in inside sales with a plastics distribution company. Through that position that I hold now, I think I can do very well for the board. You know, I've got customers who call daily with their pains, and they need to go through and ask the right questions and listen to them and collaborate with the team and just use all the resources that I have at my disposal, including thinking outside the box to find the correct solution. So by that job of mine that I have, I'm able to, you know, work very well with a team of people, and I can take in all different viewpoints and discuss them while working towards a common goal. And, you know, I can use my problem-solving skills to try to get to the root of the problem and help solve it. I like to have all the facts and information that I can up front to discuss everything and make the most informed decision possible. with having 2 kids in the district, I like the opportunity to do what I can to help make their educational experience the best that we can make it, not only just for them, but for all of the students in our district. And I feel that my skill set and strength to listen, collaborate, and work towards these goals that we all have for our kids is going to be something very important. So thank you for your time for that. And what questions can I answer for you?
Okay, Hannah. What would be your areas of concern regarding student achievement, and do you have any specific suggestions for improvement?
I think we need to make sure that our kids have all of the resources available to them to allow them to achieve. You know, just with technology, and especially with everything going on right now with the pandemic, you know, just giving them the tools that they need to achieve the educational goals that they may set for themselves.
Okay. Can you give us your thoughts and opinions on the cyber charter school situation?
You know, I think we, as you know, the administrators and parents, we want to keep our kids in the district. I don't think we want to see them go elsewhere, and I think we need to do what we can to make parents realize that, you know, Ambridge is a strong district. We've got, you know, good education policies. We've got good curriculum to keep our kids here, so that we, you know, we can do what we can for them so that they don't want to leave and go elsewhere.
Thank you, Hannah.
Thank you.
Ms. Quinterly, our last candidate, was not able to attend this evening, but we did receive her letter of interest and her resume. Before I turn this over to the solicitor, I would like to ask if any other board members have any other questions that they would like to ask. If you could remove your mute if you do have any questions.
No questions for me.
Okay, anyone else?
Mrs. President, can I make a statement?
Yes, ma'am.
I just want to.
Go ahead, Mrs. Lyon.
I just want to say thank you for everyone that did throw your hat into this very challenging ring. We obviously have many challenges this year and coming up. And from my perspective, as I look at so many talented and qualified candidates, I personally am really going to look at who can help us educationally to move forward and who can help us with fiscal and business knowledge. But I just really want to thank all of the people that did take the time to apply. And hopefully you will return. And if you are not selected this time, that you will continue to pursue an opportunity that is on the board. So thank you.
Can I ask a question of the candidate?
Sure.
And we can start and we can go either way, from the beginning or the end. But my question to the candidates is, how long have they attended school board meetings, either the live meetings that we've had in the past or include the Zoom meetings we have had since basically March? Let me know that.
We'll just start from the beginning. I'll start with Kathleen.
Okay.
Hi, I've probably been attending the school board meetings for the past 14, 15 years. And I have been on and off with the Zoom meetings. I've attended most of the Zoom meetings.
Okay, thank you.
James?
Sure. So I've been regularly attending since we've had the Zoom meetings, but I read the minutes of the meetings prior to attending.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Jonathan?
So truly the opening of this position is my first foray into any of these meetings. I have never attended a school board meeting, to be quite honest.
Thank you.
Denise?
I've attended off and on different meetings throughout the year and everything. I can't say that I have been regular because I've been attending other school districts' school board meetings. So when I can attend, I will be there. But this will be a priority if I would be selected as a board member to be at all meetings.
Thank you.
Thank you, Denise. Bill?
I've been doing it since for about 7 years, and we've been watching the Zoom meetings as well.
Thanks, Bill.
Thank you.
Kelly?
Hi again. I have been attending the live meetings in person since I moved back in 2005. Obviously on and off, I haven't been to every single one, but I've attended as much as possible. And then all those Zoom meetings so far.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Kelly. Hannah?
I've attended a couple of the Zoom meetings, and I do try to make it a point to read the minutes, and the agendas that are posted afterwards.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else any other board members have any other statements they would like to make? Questions?
Not at this time.
Okay.
No, I agree with Mrs. Mylan about thanking the candidates for applying and showing interest. And it's been very impressive to see everyone's backgrounds and to hear from them. And I think it's such a great thing. I myself am going to take into consideration the quality and value of those candidates and what they're bringing to the community and what they're bringing to school board meetings. And so I'm excited to get started and work on the team together with two of you.
Well said, Valerie. Well said.
Thank you, Valerie. And I would like to echo that as well. First of all, I would like to thank all of the candidates for applying. You have not made an easy choice for us. We have some excellent backgrounds with a whole different variety of talents. And I really would like you to know that whoever is not chosen tonight, I hope you will stay involved. And I hope you will ask to be a part of committees, because we will be doing that as well as we move forward. We need community support and input, and I value your input as well as the rest of the board. And I thank you. I thank you for this evening and wish you the best of luck. I will now turn this over to our solicitor, Ms. Turnbull.
All right, well, thank you for ceding the floor. I'm just going to assist the board this evening in facilitating the nomination and the selection process. So just for those on the call, I just want to do an overview, just so as you see these procedural steps go through, you have some background or some understanding of how the board is going to proceed. So the first step will be for us to open the nomination process. There are 2 vacancies this evening that will be considered and filled at the direction of a majority of the board. We're going to take those 2 vacancies in serial. So we're going to first open and have the board consider the first vacancy. Once a majority has reached a conclusion, meaning that one of the nominees is able to achieve 4 or more votes from the board, then we stop the process, and then that is a successful nominee and a successful candidate for filling the vacancy. We will then open nominations again for that second vacancy. At the conclusion of that process, I will take off my solicitor hat for half a second. I will put on my notary hat for another brief second. And if the 2 successful candidates are prepared to be sworn in this evening, we can do that, or I can do that at a different time at their convenience. But if they are sworn in this evening, you will join us immediately and have the full voting rights and privileges of a school board member. So that is how we're going to proceed. And so my first step will be to ask if there is a motion to open nominations for the position of school board directors.
I would like to make that nomination to open it up.
Thank you, Mrs. Kehoe. Is there a second for that motion?
Second.
Motion has been duly motioned and seconded. All those in favor, please indicate. Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Thank you. Are there any opposition? Seeing none, we'll move on to nominations for the first vacancy. Are there any nominations for the position?
I would like to nominate, well, I want to preface this by saying this, and I probably should have said this before. Sitting on the board is more than 2 meetings a month. We also do committee work. Every board member that sits on this board also sits on another board. There are several other boards that we also sit on. So you have to be able to make that time and commitment to that. I'm actually looking for somebody that has an educational background and a business background, because the budget is always an issue. So I would like to nominate Denise Manganello.
I will second that nomination.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Angus. Are there any other nominations? Okay. Hearing none, is there a motion to close the nominations for the first vacancy?
So moved.
Moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor of closing nominations for the first vacancy?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Thank you. And I'm going to ask the board secretary, Mrs. Mueller, for a roll call vote on that nomination.
Yes. Mr. Angus,
Yes.
Mr. Campbell,
Yes.
Mrs. Kehoe,
Yes.
Mrs. Mylan,
Yes.
Miss Pedigo,
Yes.
Miss Young,
Yes.
Mrs. Fisher.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. And congratulations to Mrs. Manganello. We will now move to the second vacancy. Are there any nominations for the position of school board director for the second vacancy?
I'd like to nominate Kathleen Curtis.
Thank you. Are there any? Oh, go ahead.
I would like to nominate Mr. Fabrizio.
Okay. Are there any other nominations?
I would like to nominate Kelly Ramasco.
Thank you. Are there any other nominations? Hearing none, is there a motion to close nominations for the second vacancy for school board director?
So moved.
I'll consider that both a motion and a second, because I heard 2 voices at once. All those in favor of closing nominations for the second school board director vacancy?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Any opposed? Hearing none, we'll now proceed to the votes on the 3 nominees for the second vacancy for school board director. We'll take these one at a time in the order that they were presented. So the first will be from Mrs. Curtis.
Okay.
Thank you, June.
Okay. Mr. Angus,
Yes.
Mr. Campbell,
Yes.
Mrs. Kehoe,
Yes.
Mrs. Mylan,
No.
Miss Pedigo,
No.
Miss Young,
No.
Mrs. Fisher.
Yes.
Motion carry. 4 votes.
It does.
Motion carries.
So thank you that we've reached our vote for majority for this exercise. Ms. Curtis is the successful nominee. So I ask Ms. Manganello and Ms. Curtis, are you prepared to be sworn in at this time?
Yes.
All right. Would you be able to turn on your camera just for this exercise? I mean, for this exercise, and the rest if you'd like.
Is my camera on?
There you are. I see you.
Okay.
All right. So this is a strange way to swear people in, but it is permitted at this time of COVID-19. So I'm going to ask that you raise your right hand and repeat after me. I swear or affirm
I swear or affirm
that I will support,
that I
that
will
I will
support,
support,
obey,
obey,
and defend
and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution
Constitution of the United States
and of this Commonwealth,
and
and
of
of
this
the
Commonwealth,
Commonwealth,
and that I will discharge
and I
and I
will
will
discharge
discharge
the duties of my office
the
the
duties
duties of my office
as School Board Director
as school
school
board
board director
with fidelity.
with fidelity.
This is where I would reach over and shake your hand, but congratulations and thank you and welcome to the board.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And with that, I will turn the meeting back over happily to President Fisher.
Thank you, Ms. Turnbull. Once again, to all the candidates, thank you very much. This was a very difficult decision. And I can tell you from my aspect, I as well look at the resumes, and I do look for balancing out our board as far as my thoughts were looking at educationally and in a business sense. These were very difficult decisions this evening. I thank you for your patience. And as I stated earlier, please stay involved. Please stay involved and volunteer, stay on the meetings. Please continue coming to the meetings and stay active. Thank you. Moving forward with public comment regarding agenda items only. In light of the state declared disaster emergency, the board has adopted modified public meeting and public comment processes consistent with the Sunshine Law. These modified rules have been published in a newspaper of general circulation and on the district's website. Public comments received in advance of this virtual meeting by the board secretary will now be read.
Okay, I have a comment here from Judy Polachek, Ambridge. Would like to request to talk about getting football uniforms for players, especially the seniors. Okay, sorry about that too.
Can you repeat that again, June?
Yes, would Judy Polachek from Ambridge would like to request to talk about getting football uniforms for the players, especially the seniors, to have their pictures taken in senior banners. Brenda Petrolapak, Economy Borough. When will grades 6 through 12 receive devices? Jackie Stranko, Economy Borough. Will the students attending BCCTC stay at the high school for online learning? Janelle Bell, Ambridge. Who is supplying the teachers and classrooms with hand sanitizer, Lysol, and Clorox wipes? I have the same
June?
question. Yes.
I apologize. Can I stop you and let Dr. Pascarella add a few of the questions and then we'll move forward?
Mhm.
Okay, thank you, June. Thank you, Kathy. Just going back up to the top, and you can let me know if I missed anything. Okay, we good? Okay, so the one question was about football uniforms and such. I know the board is going to be having discussion in and around at some point tonight around the reopening of athletics. At this point, most of the community did know that we had notified them that until this meeting and further discussion with the board, we've kind of, at this point stopped sports due to some positive COVID tests and trying to make sure that we keep everybody safe and healthy, erring on the side of caution. So we will see what the board discusses on that end. And also subsequent to that, they may make a decision with regards to photographs for a variety of teams. That could be a second discussion point. When will grades 6 through 12 receive devices, I think was another question. I have some really good news on that. Our devices are in, our laptops are in, so that's very exciting. We're finishing up inventorying them, but it looks like almost all of them are in. And then our company CCI is currently working on imaging them, and then our technology department will be working very diligently to get those prepared to hand out. You probably saw on the agenda, and it will be up for a discussion soon, in around a new calendar adoption if the board's willing to take my recommendation. And upon the passing of that, if it is successful, we would be getting dates out. So I would be able to share that information when we talk about the calendar, if that makes sense, about some tentative dates for handing it out if the calendar is in fact improved. But it does look like all of our devices are in and we're moving in the right direction. So that's great news. Next, will students attending BCCTC stay at the high school for online learning? So we will have an area available for social distancing on the days if the students decide to come on their Garnet or their Gray day. We would provide it. Mrs. Zupsik at the high school will be providing an area for them to do that work here. If they chose to do their work at home, then there would not be a midday run. So they'd be responsible for their own transportation. But if they don't have transportation, then they're surely welcome to just come in on those days, and we will provide a socially distanced area for them to complete their work. And on the days when they aren't there, they would be completing that work online. The next question, I think, was who is supplying teachers with hand sanitizer, Lysol, Clorox wipes, etc. The district, I mean, it is on supply lists, and that would be great if, in some cases, if the parents do want to provide some of that. However, the district has ordered quite a bit through the business office so that we are prepared to start the year. And hopefully, as things progress, we'll continue to get what we need as far as those supplies go. I think that was as far as we made it so far.
Yes, thank you. Go ahead, June.
Heather Fernandez, Ambridge. I am very confused on how the CCBC program will be held. My daughter was supposed to start this year in the nursing program. There really hasn't been much information, and we are new to the program. I totally get that we have to adjust and have to be totally understanding. I just want communication on the plan. Plus, I worried about guidance on seniors for colleges since their junior year was interrupted. I don't want my daughter or any other young adult to miss out on information or what to do to start college.
Mrs. Fisher, I can answer part of that question regarding the CTC.
Go ahead, thank you.
I am the board president at the Beaver County Career and Technology Center. We spent the last couple weeks getting the packets together and ready to go for the 17 programs that we offer over there. They were finished today. They will go to the post office tomorrow. So probably by Friday or Saturday, all students attending the Beaver County Career and Technology Center will be receiving their packet with all the information that they need. And we plan on having an orientation at the school also. So that all that information as far as that goes is forthcoming.
And Mrs. Fisher, just to jump in on that question now as well, I did ask Mrs. Zupsik to reach out to CCBC, and the students who were accepted into the program should have received a letter. They said that they mailed that on August 7th. If you don't get that letter, if you send it in yourself, you could check in with CCBC about that course. And if not, and in our guidance department is willing to help you, you could notify your principal here at the high school and they can help look into that for you to see if that in fact is the case. And as far as where would they do the work, it's my understanding that at this point CCBC will be going remote, and that we would have space in and around our guidance wing, again socially distanced for those students. If that needs to fill up, we'll find another area for them to be able to complete their coursework in the for CCBC.
Thank you. June, you can continue.
Okay, Casey Devaney, Economy Borough. Why are temperatures not taken before a child gets on the bus if they are using the bus transportation? This would save time and lines entering the schools. And if they have a temp before they get on the bus, you wouldn't be stopping the contact before allowing them on the bus. When will bus information be sent out?
Just going back one other question too, real quick. It was a question about, colleges for seniors. I would encourage them to reach out to the guidance office to set up an appointment to talk about, what college institutions, further education, career development that they may be interested in, and begin to set up an appointment throughout the year that they could either do remotely through the use of Teams, or, if they are in the buildings, then they could set up a meeting, or maybe still do that through Teams, whatever makes everyone feel as comfortable as possible. On this one that came up, it's a fair point, but we would like to ask parents that you do self-assess your child if you are able to. We are strongly encouraging that before you come onto the bus. However, we do feel that, we will have our equipment here. You're going to purchase as far as thermometer checks, and we have availability for that child in particular, that if they have temperature, to be able to wait in an area of isolation until we can have the parent pick up. I mean, sometimes there are children who may go to a bus stop, and if the equipment didn't work right or somebody wasn't there to get them, the last thing we want to do in particular is leave somebody there at the bus stop. So I understand it was a fair question, and it was a difficult one in this situation to answer, but we will be asking that the parents do try to self-assess the students ahead of time, so that we don't cross-contaminate or have any issues of spreading on a bus. But the actual temperature checks will happen, at the district itself. Just reading here real quickly, if I trying to take a note there so I didn't miss anything. When will bus information be sent out? Excuse me. We're working diligently on that. It should come out in the very near future. We're most likely going to be loading that into the Tyler system. I would say as soon as possible. I would hope that it would be able to be done at the latest early, Monday of next week, but I'm hoping to have it done before the end of the week.
Okay, another question from Casey Devaney. For students new to the district or new to the building, why would you not hold face-to-face orientations for those students prior to the start of school? I have watched the online videos, and those are great if a child cannot attend or someone missed something or wanted to review again. But if you are not able to hold orientation for the student and at least one adult for 9th grade or 6th grade or kindergarten, then how can you open the district up as a whole? Having the face-to-face will help with some of the stress coming into a new building after not being in school for several months.
Yeah, that's a difficult question as well. I understand your point. One of the major reasons is most of the guidance talks about only having, 25 folks in a room. So we would have to divide that up into very small groups. The other reason, so that makes it difficult, not impossible, but it does make it difficult. And the other reason why is really for the safety and well-being of everybody. We want to give this the best chance of being successful. Our custodians and staff are diligently cleaning each and every day, which you may recall we are a little bit behind on that because we started bringing custodians in July, where usually they work the whole month of June. So we want to have our buildings all prepared. You also know that there's quite a bit going on from our safety plan in regards to setup of our rooms, our cafeterias, and those types of items as well. And so that was able to be viewed, hopefully a little bit on some of the videos and the orientations for you. It's a fair point, but I do think that, we're going to have the processes in place to try to make this as successful as possible. But I do appreciate your feedback and understand the importance of face-to-face visits. But at this time, we felt that that would be in the best interest of everybody involved to do it that way.
The third question from Casey Devaney. In the past, there have been schedule issues for students with the 2 days in school and 3 days online. Is there going to be a step-by-step on how a day would work for the students so the parents know how to schedule and make sure that their child is getting online when they are supposed to? The online for high school shows what it would be like when they were in, but not this is how an online day would start. You need to log in at this time. You have this many minutes in between the next class, etc.
A very good question. You will be following your bell schedule or your schedule for your students as well. So I hope that that would answer that question. The high school would be posted online, and the other classes, they would get their teacher. We are working currently with our technology integrators to try to set up some additional small videos that are going to show you by different grade levels how you log on the very first time for for Microsoft Teams. And then from there, we're going to be having training with our teachers so that once you're in and hearing as a parent and student from your teacher and teams, hopefully they will be able to review it and answer any further questions that you would have. But we definitely want to do everything possible to get you logged in that first day and utilize your schedule. So you be awaiting some additional small videos from our technology integrators that will help you if you're unsure as to how to log in the first day, whether you are remote or hybrid.
Question number 4 from Casey Devaney. If your student is set up to do the 2-day face-to-face and 3 days online, but would like to start out with 5 days online for the first 9 weeks, who should a parent contact to get that set up?
Excellent question. If you're going to go online or you're going to switch from hybrid to online or vice versa, it's very important that you don't just simply send an email, that you actually contact the main office of your student's building and either physically speak to the secretary or the principal who will then make that change. The reason why that's so important is we want to make sure that we know whether or not to anticipate your student coming to the building or not, to make sure for their safety and welfare that they are accounted for. So if you do change your mind, we do want to be flexible with our parents, as we said before, but we're asking all the parents to do their best to make sure you touch base with somebody in the office rather than just leaving a message or an email to make sure that people understand that your child will now be coming starting when.
The 5th question from Casey Devaney. If a student is signed up for online only, when will the instructions and schedule be sent, or will it just show up on the online portal?
The online portal should be, we should have sent a blast out, I believe, so you should be able to log on to your online portal here soon and see your schedule. If you cannot see that or need any help with that, you could either contact your building principal or you can contact the technology department to help you log in.
And now the question from Megan Clark from Ambridge. What happens with the kids who are in the JROTC and are doing full remote classes? How is that being handled?
Yes, good question. At this given point, JROTC, like our other courses, if you're going full remote, we're going to do our best to offer that remote as well. Obviously on our courses and electives, such as JROTC and other programs that are hands-on, we're going to have to be creative in that, but we're going to do our best to try to offer that remotely.
Question from Melinda Arloff Baden. During the last school board meeting, when parents asked if virtual school would be recorded and able to watch during a convenient time for the family, the answer was no. The reason for the no, we were told, was because Department of Education was not accepting it. My question is if that rule has since changed due to other schools doing their virtual school that way. Every day, students still have to get their work done and homework done, but just not a set schedule being 8 to 3 or whatnot. This is true in the Northgate School District as well as a few others that I have seen.
Sorry, I was muted. So we didn't get a direct answer from the state on that. However, I'll respond in 2 ways. I'm not familiar with some of the other school districts that you were looking at, but right now when we're talking about our Bridger Virtual Academy, where we're having people actually log in and communicate and see their teacher, to answer the first part, our goal is we won't be able to tape the entire day. But our goal is, in working with our teachers, to take key pieces of the lessons that can be then recorded for at least X amount of days. And I say X because I'm not sure exactly when we fill up our memory how long those will be able to last. So we want to make that space that we have as meaningful as possible, if that makes sense. So instead of taping the entire lesson or the entire day, we want to tape the key points and try to have those things recorded and posted for parents to see if they miss. So that's one thing there. As far as being the attendance factor, we did not get a clear answer from PDE yet. I've been looking at guidance from PD and haven't seen that. That being said, we know that you're supposed to be flexible. So with attendance. So I would answer that right now by saying, and we talked a little bit about this as a committee when we met, that if you miss some days in a row, one way or another, and you have to make up that work, although you may be marked absent, we're going to be flexible in nature, and hopefully the videos that you get will be allowed to give you enough support so that when you do get a chance to get back in and ask questions of your teacher, that will be enough to allow you to be successful in the course. So we want to be flexible with people, understanding there may be a day where something happens, whether that's someone's not feeling well, they have a doctor's appointment, you know, a variety of reasons. Just, you know, an internet issue could happen, those types of things. We want to be as flexible as possible and give them time to make the assignments up. So that's that. Some school districts I know, which we do offer as well, you know, have more of a cyber program that doesn't have that same interaction, where it's more of a self-paced situation, which some of our students are in. Now, you might recall from our survey, many people were looking for that interaction, and that's really what we're trying to offer. But for some of the students who may simply take the program in our Bridger Cyber Academy, where it's just self-paced, that's different. You know, that's another option. If they did sign up for that, I guess they could self-pace those assignments, you know, at different times. But I think our goal is to have that interaction, try to get videos as responsible as we can up and available, and give time to make up work, and try to be as flexible as we can with parents and students.
Okay, I have a comment from Stephanie Priori from Economy Borough. While I recognize that none of the learning options presented match the quality of 5 days of in-school instruction, the choices offered are limiting to families in many ways. I want to clarify that I do understand why a full 5-day return to school is not possible, and I recognize the work of the committee to be extraordinarily challenging. However, I implore the school board and administrators to approach each individual situation with consideration and flexibility regarding what is best overall for the child. I will use my own family as an example of the limitations. Out of the choices given, I feel the best option for my incoming first grader would be to send him for in-person instruction 2 days and complete the other 3 days at home. For families with other obligations during the day, will their days of at-home learning be self-paced? I do not work outside the home, but I do have another child who attends half-day preschool and recurring therapy appointments throughout the week. This puts me outside of the home daily and unable to sit with my incoming first grader as he completes his work on an actual school schedule. Other pockets of time throughout the day will allow us to complete the work fully and completely, but on terms that best fits our needs. Additionally, sitting in front of a computer is not an ideal learning situation for most students, particularly our youngest learners. How can we meet the needs of district families throughout the day while promoting a healthy return to the school in the limited capacity being offered?
Thank you. Yes, that's similar to the last question, not exactly the same, but the idea of how do we handle a situation where we have doctor's appointments and we're not able to be there. And again, we want to be flexible, although we still have to take attendance per the state. We do want to be flexible and allow people to have key components of the lesson, hopefully being able to record it for a few days, allow time for makeup work. We do agree that sitting in front of a computer is not always ideal. So we were talking a little bit today with a group of teachers of just like when you're in your classroom, how do you differentiate? How do you still make sure you're interacting as the parents are looking for with their students while giving them some time to work on some projects individually, or, you know, in small breakout groups anyway, in teams and those type of things, or small breakout groups if we're in the hybrid situation. So, I mean, I think you're right. But I think your last sentence, if I got it somewhat right, was how do we meet the needs of the district families throughout the day while promoting a healthy return? And, you know, that's the balance. We're trying to meet all the needs while keeping people safe and healthy, and it's a challenge. So we appreciate your support and all the parents' support as we continue to try to navigate and do what we can to keep everyone as safe and healthy as possible while meeting their educational needs in the best form possible.
Okay, June, that is all the comments?
That is all the comments I have.
Thank you. Moving forward to legislative action for the meeting. Education and technology is next. Ms. Turnbull, I'd like to ask if Mrs. Manganello could take this, as this is some expertise in her field. So guide her along a little.
Sure. And Mrs. Manganello, all you have to do as we go through any of these items is read the recommended item and the full sentence that you see there.
Can we move the screen down?
Yes, Lori, can you move this screen up?
I don't have a copy. Thanks. So under education and technology, revise the 2020-2021 school year calendar. It is recommended to approve the revised 2020-2021 school calendar as presented. Do we need to present something?
I think we'll just, if you want to go through each of those sentences, we'll do a motion, a second, just to get it as a live thing. And at that point, if there's questions and concerns, I think there are a couple of these that there may be follow-up questions from the board or directed to Dr. Pascarella.
Okay. Number 2, Comcast Internet. It is recommended to approve an agreement between the Ambridge Area School District and Comcast Cable Communication Management, LLC, to provide in-home internet services to qualifying families within the district as presented. Number 3, senior projects. It is recommended to approve senior projects in Ambiance for the 2020-2021 school year. 4, PA pre-K counts and Head Start Supplemental Assistant Program CARES funding for COVID-19 relief. It is recommended to approve the purchase of 40 iPads for pre-K students through the pre-K CARES fund for an amount not to exceed $18,000. Any questions?
So I could speak to him. Mrs. Turnbull, do we need a first and second, or do you want me to just speak to him now?
Yep, let's do a first and a second. We'll get it live, and then we can work through any issues that we need to then.
I move to accept items 1 through 4 under education and technology.
Do we have a second?
So moved. A second.
Thank you.
If it's okay, I'll just talk briefly about each one, and then I'll answer any questions if that makes sense.
Thank you.
Because I do have a couple comments. So the revised 2021 school calendar, we kind of discussed this at our last meeting, that there might be a need to look at moving some start dates back. Since then, you will also see on the agenda that we were able to work out a memorandum of understanding with our teachers union, which is going to allow us to get another professional development day in prior to the start of the school year. So some highlights on the new calendar that you might see is that we would be pushing the actual first student day back to the 31st of August. A couple highlights on that would be, as our laptops are all in, I'd like to make sure that we have enough time to make sure they're fully loaded, and then prepare enough days to hand out the laptops, much like we did our iPads. The second thing is, we'd like to leave our teacher days and the extra day in the week that it was presented, and have an opening day / in-service and building meetings on the 17th, and the extra professional development day led by our tech integrators and feedback from the administration to help prepare us one more time as a review from our spring professional development on the 18th. And then the 19th is a clerical day where teachers will have the opportunity to work. I'd like to leave those days where they're at, because then that will allow any teacher who chooses to do that to use that training clear up to when the actual first day starts. And some people were asking earlier, if this calendar is approved, we would be looking at the week of the 24th, looking at a few days there, much like we did in iPad situation, to send out a blast with alphabetical information and grade level information to hand out the laptops at that given point as well, because they should be done.
Dr. Pascarella, could I jump in there a minute as well, just in regards
Yeah.
to the calendar, to let the public know that I received many inquiries from staff, teachers, et cetera, that were asking for additional time as well for training and to get prepared for the school year. So I had many, many staff members reach out asking for this extension as well. Thank you.
In this, as part of the MOU, there will be at the end of the first, second, and third 9 weeks on Fridays, which is already a virtual day. We will still have the day, but we will run it on a 2-hour delay schedule to allow them, the staff, the teaching staff, to complete their grades. And that's how we were able to negotiate with them. And as we both agreed, it would be important to pick up that additional day of professional development at the beginning of the year. So you'll still have your classes on those Fridays, but it's going to be a little bit more student driven on those few Fridays when they're doing grades, and it may be a 2-hour delay before they actually engage with the staff and run that schedule. And as we get closer, there'll be more information on that. One other highlight on calendars just in general is, if this is approved this year, what we'd like to do, because there has been so many changes, instead of the parents getting a whole large district calendar, which we thought may change multiple times due to a variety of circumstances dealing with the pandemic, unlike any other years, we'd like to send out this one pager as adopted now, if it's adopted, so that parents could see what days are off. They should have had their garnet and gray days, but we'll send another example of those garnet and gray days out for parents as well. And then periodically, if there are events that are able to be held, we could get that out monthly and post that on the website, because there would be so much things that could be subject to change based upon the current situation in the district. Those are the major highlights. Obviously, then the school year is pushed back with a graduation and student last day of June 11th. Those are the major highlights on that one. Any other questions on the calendar, or I can move on to speaking about number 2? Number 2, okay, I'm going to go ahead. Comcast Internet is number 2. A little bit about that. This is going to be designed. We will only have to pay as the district for internet that we actually use, and the program, it would be offered to folks who do not currently have the internet. In other words, if you already have Comcast Internet, you would not be entitled to get this internet now at a reduced cost. And also, it wouldn't be eligible. There's some other guidelines that in order for you to be eligible, you have to meet certain guidelines, which we would get that information out to people who need that, and they would share that information with Comcast. If that comes down and you do qualify, Comcast would reach out to the school district, letting us know that we get 2 months free, and then we would pay the $9.99 a month for just the school year. The equipment is the responsibility of the individual who signed it up. That's who Comcast would be dealing with. But the bill of $9.99 a month minus the first 2 months would come to the district. So this is not applicable to everybody. It would only be for those that qualify and only for those that don't have the internet now, so that we would be able to figure out a way to provide this resource. From our survey at one point, and I don't have the most up-to-date numbers, but there were some folks that definitely indicated that they did not have the internet. It wasn't anywhere near a majority, but there were folks out there. So if this is approved, again, we would be sharing the information in and around Comcast. They would have to qualify through Comcast. Comcast would then send us the bill for those folks for the school year only. Questions on that?
No, thank you.
Okay. Senior project. I'm in agreement, and that's why I put it on the agenda with Mrs. Zupsik at this given point. Senior projects, much like the end of last year, require a lot of interaction, going into the field, interviewing folks. And with the current pandemic, it seems pretty difficult for our seniors to be able to do that. Some of those folks start as early as in the summer, and obviously, you know, a lot of places where they would be going to do job shadows, interviews, or projects currently, due to the COVID-19 situation, aren't accepting folks for safety precautions. So we were just saying that for the 2021 school year, we would put those projects in abeyance and talk about them for the next class. Questions on that? So then the last one, pre-K, for everyone that is involved in pre-K, please look and sign up. We were a little late on pre-K, and I want to say that that's really not the district's fault, and I'm not blaming the state either. I'm very excited that they're still running the program. However, there's still guidance that continues to come out. If you have a pre-K age student, please get hold of your principal or Mrs. Hoover at State Street, Mrs. Galitzis, or Dr. Burns, or Mr. King. They'll point you in the right direction to sign up for pre-K. There is some additional guidance that we're still working through. To start out the year, it may be a little bit delayed, but at some point we are looking at some older iPads to hand out until we would get these 40 in as spares and supplies if anyone would break. So our hope is that in the first week or two of school, at the latest, we would be able to get some older iPads out to get them started. The money that you look at here for the 40 iPads, not to exceed 18,000, we got roughly 22,000 in CARES dollars, much like the district got a much larger sum of that we used to buy technology. This was specific, to our pre-K program. It needs to be spent relatively quickly. So some of the other items in the 22,000 are grab and go bags, having some money for mailing if we have to mail students information that they would need to work on, and those types of things. And it's probably going to come in a little bit under this amount, but I just wanted to make sure we had the not to exceed. We would order 40 new iPads because the ones that we will be handing out at pre-K, we do believe will work, but we also believe they're a little older than other ones. So when they come in, if they do have an issue with them, we want to have iPads to be able to give out that are, newer and available to work. So that's the description on that. Questions on that? That's all I have in this committee.
Thank you, Dr. Pascarello. Does the board have any other questions or comments regarding items 1 through 4 as presented? Nope. Can I have a roll call, please?
Yes. Miss Manganello,
Yes.
Miss Curtis,
Yes.
Mr. Angus,
Yes.
Mr. Campalong,
Yes.
Mrs. Kehoe,
Yes.
Mrs. Nyland,
Yes.
Miss Pedigo,
Yes.
Miss Young,
Yes.
Mrs. Fisher,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you. Moving on to personnel, Mr. Angus.
Yes, I just want to clarify that we're only going to be dealing with items 3 through 14. 1 and 2 have already been addressed, correct?
Ms. Turnbull?
Yes. Sorry, I was muted.
All right, very good. I'll start with item number 3, Act 93 positions. It is recommended to eliminate the following positions effective August 12th, 2020. Number 1, the assistant principal of the high school, and number 2, the assistant principal of the middle school. In conjunction with that, item B is to recommend the authorization of the creation of the following positions for the 2021 school year and to open the same to the qualified applicants. That would be an assistant principal split between the high school and the middle school, and it would be a 10-month position. Item number 4, it is recommended to appoint David Turk as the assistant principal of the high school / middle school as per the Act 93 agreement. Number 5, it's recommended to rescind item 19 under personnel approved at the July 15, 2020 board meeting, recalling Stacy Arenko into a long-term substitution position at State Street Elementary. Number 6, it is recommended to approve the resignation of Stephanie Busey, a special education teacher at Highland Elementary, with regret. Number 7, it is recommended to ratify the resignation due to retirement of Barbara Harris, a special education teacher at State Street, effective July 16, 2020, with regret. Number 8, it is recommended to ratify the resignation due to retirement of Terry Ray, a teacher at Economy Elementary, effective July 16th, 2020, with regret. Number 9, it is recommended to approve the resignation due to retirement of Patricia Henry, a secretary at Highland Elementary, effective August 31st, 2020, with regret. Number 10 is the recall of temporary employees. It is recommended to recall Stacy Harenko into the 4th grade teaching position at Economy Elementary as per the terms of the collective bargaining unit. B would be it's recommended to recall Alyssa Greco into the special education position at State Street as per the terms of the collective bargaining agreement. And item C would be recommended to Courtney Parisi into a long-term substitute kindergarten position at State Street Elementary. Number 11 is Key Staffing Solutions, LLC. It is recommended to approve an agreement between the Ambridge Area School District and Key Solutions Staffing, LLC, to provide the district with service commensurate with the position of Director of Special Education. The terms of the agreement shall end on June 30th, 2021, or when the position is filled as presented. Number 12 is the lead position for the ACME AFL-CIO. That would be to recommend that Ron Wilson as the lead position as per the collective bargaining union. Number 13 is a long-term substitute. It is recommended Amanda Legui be approved as a long-term substitute at the middle school at a rate of 70% of Step 1 bachelor's, $45,101 as per the terms of the Ambridge Area Education Association /PSEA agreement pending receipt of current clearances, satisfactory drug screenings, TB testing, and responses by current and former employees to Act 168 screenings. And finally, number 14, it is recommended to hire Linda Hunt as a full-time custodian at Economy Elementary as per the terms of the Local 248 Ambridge Area School Employees ASME AFL-CIO negotiated agreement, pending receipt of current clearances, satisfactory drug screening, TB testing, and responses by current former employers to Act 168 screening. That's all I have this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Angus. We have a motion on the floor to accept the items.
I'll second.
Thank you. Can I have a roll call, please?
Yes. Ms. Manganello?
I guess I have a question. Is there additional information that's held during executive session on personnel?
Yes.
So
Yes.
I would like to abstain at this time because I don't
Sure.
feel that I have the knowledge.
Sure, absolutely.
Ms. Curtis?
I agree with Denise. I don't have the knowledge or the background on any of these people and what's going on. So I'm going to abstain on this one too.
Mr.
Okay.
Angus?
Yes.
Mr. Campbell?
Yes.
Mrs. Kehoe?
Yes.
Mrs. Mylan?
Yes.
Ms. Pedigo? Ms.
Yes.
Pedigo? Yeah. Ms. Young?
Yes.
Mrs. Fisher?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Moving on.
Before you move on, I just want to take one moment for our retirees. I had the privilege of getting to know them, and they were outstanding at their job. And they will be greatly missed in their buildings. And I'd like to really thank them for, all the work that they did in their district. Patty is the secretary at Highland, and Terry out at Economy, and Barb at State Street. Just want to thank you. Wish them the best. Thanks for everything that you did for helping me out. I know that, and helping the students out and parents out of our community. I just really appreciate everything you've done, and I wish you all the best in the next chapter of your life, as I think we all do. And I wish I was there, as everyone would, to shake your hand tonight, but I'll wave and tell you best of luck. We appreciate everything that you did.
Thank you. Moving forward to salary schedule and labor relations, Mrs. Mylan.
Yes, we have two items this evening, then they're both memorandums of understanding. It's recommended to hereby approve the memorandum of understanding between the Ambridge Area School District and the Ambridge Area Education Association regarding department head supplemental positions as presented. Any questions? The second is also, I'm sorry.
She's having trouble.
The second is recommended to hereby approve the memorandum of understanding between the Ambridge Area School District and the Ambridge Area Education Association regarding professional development as presented.
Any questions there from anyone? Okay, there's a motion on the floor to move for the adoption of items 1 and 2.
Second.
Thank you. Can I have a roll call, please?
Yes. Miss Manganello,
I'll abstain again without knowledge.
Miss Curtis,
I'm going to abstain without knowledge. This must have been done in executive session.
Mr. Angus,
Yes.
Mr. Campbell,
Yes.
Miss Kehoe,
Yes.
Mrs. Mylan,
Yes.
Miss Pedigo,
Yes.
Miss Young,
Yes.
Mrs. Fisher,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you. Moving on to the superintendent's report. Dr. Pascarella?
Just to be brief tonight, I tried to answer some of the questions and provide an update, but really tonight, I'd just like to thank everyone. First of all, there's not a staff member in any rank right now that's not really given 110%. You know, everything from the administrative team handing out laptops to our tech integrators, to our department chairs and curriculum council, to teachers and community members who helped get us in a position where, you know, we were able to put a plan together. You know, our custodial and maintenance staff who have worked diligently to try to get the building cleaned and prepared for our students on a tight time frame with higher expectations. The secretaries, it just goes on and on. Every paraprofessional, everybody who has helped to put our situation up and moving in the right direction. I can't thank you enough for everything that you've done. I'd also like to really thank our parents and our students who have already really been supportive and asked good questions, really trying to give the school system a chance to, in these difficult times, to provide an excellent education to your students. And, you know, coming up here out of the day to make sure that you picked up your technology. And I know we're still working through that at the upper grades, and that's forthcoming now the week of the 24th. But just, it's a true team effort of community, parents, the board, everybody that worked together. I just want to say thank you, and we'll continue to work hard in the next couple of weeks to make this go as smooth as possible. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Dr. Pascarella. Moving on to the solicitor's report.
I have no specific action item for the board's consideration this evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mrs. Fisher, before we adjourn this meeting, may I make a statement, please?
Of course.
Thank you. After literally thousands of hours as a volunteer for this district that I love very much, I am uncomfortable with the direction and choices of our board for the best interest for our education of our students and the fiduciary responsibility towards our constituents. As a result, I am resigning my position as a board of director member. And I will get my letter of resignation to our solicitor and you, Mrs. Fisher, by tomorrow. So thank you, everybody.
I'm very sorry to hear that, Terry.
Me as well, Terry. You've done a great job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Turnbull, do we need to take any?
Well, so we don't have it in hand. Mrs. Mylan, would it be your intention for us to wait until we have that written communication?
No, you can, no, not at all.
Okay, so is that, so it appears that it would be appropriate for the board to kindly accept Mrs. Mylan's resignation from her seat as a board director effective immediately. Is that fair, Mrs. Mylan?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay, so I don't want to put words in your mouth. So that would be an appropriate thing at this time for the board to consider with a motion.
Well, I have a motion on the floor to accept the resignation of.
I accept it.
I didn't hear who that was.
Valerie.
Okay, I need a second, correct? Was so move and a second?
Second.
Thank you. Can I have a roll call, please?
Miss Manganello,
Yes.
Miss Curtis,
Yes.
Mr. Angus,
Yes, with regret.
Mr. Campbell,
Yes.
Mrs. Kehoe,
Yes.
Miss Pedigo,
Yes, with regret, I wish I could vote no. Thank you so much, Mrs. Mylan, for all of your dedication to the school district and the community. I know you put in countless hours and put in so much dedication and emotion towards our students and towards the people who live here. And you're one of the reasons why I moved here. So thank you very much. And I'm sorry that you feel this way, and I understand why.
Miss Young,
Yes, with horrible, horrible regret. I'm sorry to see you leave, Mrs. Mylan.
Mrs. Fisher,
I would like to speak first. I'm voting no on the resignation. I regretfully wish that Mrs. Mylan would reconsider. She brings a lot of value to the board, and there will always be differences of opinion and disagreements, and me feeling one way, other board members feeling another way, but we should be able to work together and work through and move forward in the position that we are in. And some of the position that we are in was under previous circumstances. So I do regret Terry's resignation, and I wish she would reconsider. She adds a lot of value to this board and is a valued member of the community. So thank you. Can I have a roll call? Oh, I have the roll
Yeah.
call. So mine was no. Mine was no.
and motion carries.
Thank you. I have a motion on the floor to adjourn the voting meeting and reconvene to the meet and discuss.
Second.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Moving forward, June, are you sharing the screen? I know Lori was having some issues.
Yes, let me try to share the screen.
Ms. Turnbull, let's start the meeting first, and then I will ask you another question.
Okay. Can you see the screen?
Yes, thank you.
What do I need to do?
Ms. Turnbull, just so I can ask this publicly, we did hold interviews this evening. Are we able to choose from that list, or do we have to re-advertise and reopen?
So the school, neither the school code nor the Sunshine Law specifically provide a required process to go along with the filling of vacancies in terms of interviews or advertisements or anything of that sort. So it tends to then be a matter of local control and of board prerogative. So that's a matter for the board that you can discuss. And give some direction whether or not you want to accept additional resumes and re-advertise again, or because those that are still before you are very fresh and
yes
and appropriate, then that's also a completely legal and reasonable way to proceed.
Okay, so am I able to address the board and ask if that is something we can do, or we can do it as well for next week? Yes.
I mean, as a matter of, yeah, go. You're free to discuss that at
Are all the candidates still on?
Let me go through my list, and I'll if you could please answer. James Fabrizio.
Yes, I'm here.
Thank you. Jonathan Fisher. Jonathan? Okay, I don't hear Jonathan. Bill Metz?
Go ahead, say it again. Yeah, I'm here.
All right, Bill. Kelly Ramasco? Kelly? Okay, Hannah Savage?
Yes, I'm still here.
Thank you. So, Megan, since we don't have all the candidates here, would it be an issue if we could do it next week?
No, I don't think it's an issue.
Because that would be unfair. That would be unfair with the candidates that are still not on.
I mean, there are, the board has 30 days to fill the vacancy from the date that you accept the resignation of an existing member. So next week is completely appropriate. And I mean, you could certainly ask those on the call if they remain interested, and if so,
and we'll do that. Are you all still interested in another open board position?
Yes, I would still be interested.
That, who was that? I'm sorry.
Hannah Savage.
Hannah, okay. And Kelly is not on. Bill?
Yes.
All right. James?
Yes.
Jonathan
Hi,
did not. Pardon, go ahead. Who's?
Kelly Ramasco.
I'm Kelly, okay. Did you hear, I'm sorry, did you hear what we said?
Yes, I'm still interested.
Okay, thank you. Everybody else, I believe.
We should do this tonight.
No, Mr. Campolo? Mr.
Yeah,
Campolo,
I think we should do this tonight.
you want to do it tonight?
But,
Okay.
I mean, if everyone's good to go next week, I'll go.
Let's get everybody else's input here so we can all be in agreement.
Kathy, this is
Yes.
I'm sorry, this is Maximilian Elliott. I am on the call.
Oh,
now.
yeah.
So
Yes.
I sent an email in because I had to be on a Zoom at the same time. There's a new bishop that's going to be placed in Pittsburgh, and I had to be on that call at the same time. This one,
Okay.
but it's on late. I apologize, but I am here and I am in.
That's okay. Ms. Turnbull, would I be able to address for Max to have a few questions and her a few minutes to speak before, let's go through the board, but would that be possible if we're going to do this tonight?
Sure, isn't it? Sure, as an informational item, why don't you have that discussion and pose those questions and allow our missing candidate to discuss her platform and give us a little bit more insight about her, and then we can talk about how you want to proceed from that point.
Okay. So board members, can I get some feedback on, do we do it this evening?
Kathy, this is Kitty, and
Yes.
I personally don't feel comfortable voting on another member tonight. I haven't seen the resumes. I don't know
Okay.
anything about their background.
Okay.
And I mean, I did listen to all of them speak, but I would like to review that paperwork and stuff that they sent in.
Sure. Denise?
I'm okay with us moving forward tonight.
Tonight.
I think we should move forward. We have all the candidates available. I think we need to address and get this position filled. It's again with regret, because I would love for Terry to stay, but if we have all the candidates are here, let's get this position filled.
Ms. Patago?
I'm fine either way.
Who am I missing? Mr. Angus?
I'm fine with tonight.
Mr. Campolong is fine with tonight, correct? Mr. Campolong?
Sorry, I was on mute. Yep.
Mrs. Kehoe?
Well, I'm going to be quite honest. I was shocked that Terry resigned this evening, but I don't know. I would actually like to do it next week, only because, we did not anticipate a resignation. I don't know if there's anybody else out there that wanted to apply. I'd like to have the opportunity, only just to go back through the resumes, and that's just for myself. It doesn't have anything to do with what anybody else said, but that's just me.
June, were you keeping track of our count? Did I miss anybody, first of all? Mrs. Mueller?
Sorry, no, you have everyone, and right now it's 7 yeses.
No, Kehoe was
Uh,
not. No, Kehoe was a no.
Okay, I'm sorry, 6 yeses.
So the majority is good with tonight.
Or no, it was five. Yeah, still majority.
It was.
It was five. Still majority. Okay.
And so what we're doing right now is functionally a straw poll to determine kind of how we proceed. As a legal matter, for the sake of those who are on the call, the meet and discuss board meeting is legally advertised under the Sunshine Law to be a voting meeting for general business purposes. Although the board just closed the voting portion, it doesn't preclude them from taking we'd probably first take a motion to reconvene the voting portion of the meeting. And then if it was the board's wish, I would help kind of guide through that nomination process that you heard earlier. So I think just procedurally, if anyone had any question, I think that's how you would move forward. And then with our newly sworn in board member, we would then close that voting portion again, and then move to the more typical meet and discuss agenda setting component of the meeting.
Okay. Any other objections before we move with a motion to reconvene the voting portion of the meet and discuss? All right, I have a motion on the floor to reconvene the voting portion of the meet and discuss board meeting.
I'll second.
Thank you. Do I need to go through roll call again, Ms. Turnbull?
Yep, let's vote it.
Okay. All right. Can I have a roll call, please, June?
Miss Manganello,
Yes.
Miss Curtis,
Yes.
Mr. Angus,
Yes.
Mr. Campbell,
Yes.
Mrs. Kehoe,
Yes.
Miss Pedigo,
Yes.
Miss Young,
Yes.
Mrs. Fisher.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Ms. Turnbull, is it time for, we can let Ms. Quinterly make a statement, or do we wait? Please give me some direction.
No, I think that would be appropriate, so
Okay.
that all candidates had an equal opportunity to speak to the board members first.
Sure. Okay. Ms. Quinterly, could you please introduce yourself?
Stop sharing for now. Right.
Okay, hi. So I'm Maximilian Elliott Quinterly. I am a seminarian at Trinity School for Ministry, where I am a rising senior this year. I serve on the Council of Advice for the National Episcopal Church for Ethnic Ministries, and I provide coaching to clergy and lay leaders for them. I'm very familiar with school systems. I have volunteered with DARE Plus and PEPS, which is Parents for Education, or in the education process. I've done tons of work in every last single Pittsburgh public high school as a violence prevention educator. And when I mean every single Pittsburgh public high school, I mean every last one of them before they start closing. I also did psychoeducational pullout groups for students who were either witnessing domestic violence, or they were perpetrators or victims of domestic violence or intimate partner violence. I've ran summer camps, and I've done tons of things, and maybe a couple of you may know me from the community volunteering. But if you have any questions, I'm open to answering them. I don't know if that's enough information.
Max, can you give a little bit, we have 2 new board members this evening. Can you just give a little background on your experience, your education, and
yes,
just because they haven't had access to review?
Yeah, so I hold a Bachelor's of Science in Organizational Leadership, but I've also, which is basically organizational psychology, and I've also studied psychology and sociology. I am a national speech and debate champion. I don't know what else you want to know.
That's good. I just wanted them to have a little background before we.
Okay. Yeah. And as I said, I'm finishing up my my MDiv, and I am planning to pursue a PhD. So
Very good. Thank you for joining in.
thank you. And I'm so sorry. It didn't say, the email didn't say it was an interview. And
Oh,
and so I was like, okay, the bishop's thing, or I thought we were just meeting. So I apologize. If
I apologize for that as well. I apologize. We'll get through it, okay? All right. I'm just gonna take a look here, give you just a few questions, see if you can just get your opinion.
I was going to say another thing that might be a point of interest is I've worked with moms and cops in the city, and I served on the FBI Adopt a School Advisory Board for 5 years, which is basically social service agencies, the police department, and schools collaborating together. And I'm currently working with our new interim police chief to do a monthly meeting. So we meet every last Monday of the month, so that he can kind of get the community to know who he is and also share the positive things that are happening in the community. So I started a small group. They're called One Community, and we're starting to just engage the community for that purpose.
Okay, Max, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Absolutely. I'm just going to ask a few questions here. What changes do you think should be made on the state and local levels regarding public education?
That is a very good question. I think that there definitely needs to be more funding given to our schools, especially when it comes to things like arts and science. So I would say that.
Okay.
And I'm looking forward to engaging the board also so I can learn more and know better how to advocate.
Sure, sure. Here. I apologize that I'm rooting through my notes.
That's okay. More money, that's what we need.
Isn't that the truth?
And we also need more technology. We need to make sure that every child, especially right now with COVID and what's going on, that every family has the resources technologically that they need for their children to be able to engage the education system.
Sure. I know you came on late, so I don't know if you saw that all of the technology is in for entire district. Did you get to hear that? I don't know.
No, I did. That's great.
Yes. And Dr. Pasquarello was working with Comcast as well. Dr. Pasquarello, can you speak a little bit upon that for Max, just so she knows the situation?
Sure. The team and I had met with Comcast, and it is for qualifying individuals who currently do not have the internet and meet the given requirements that they have set forth. But if you do not have internet currently and you meet one of those qualifications, then they will give you 2 months free and then $9.99 a month for the rest of the school year. And what the district is saying is that if by chance the individual couldn't afford that $9.99 a month and qualified, and did not have internet, they would pick that up just for the 2021 school year. The individuals would own they would be responsible for the equipment, and the district would just be paying the bill, and then we would evaluate that situation at the end of the school year, based upon where we stand with the issues in and around the COVID-19 pandemic.
That's great.
Okay.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Great news.
One more question from me, Max. Can you give me your thoughts or opinion on our current and proposed budget?
Now, I have not seen your proposed budget, so I cannot give you an intelligent answer about that. But if you would like for me to answer that by next week and I could have the budget to look over it, I would be.
Thank you for that, Ann. Thank you for that honest answer. Okay. Does Megan, I'm able to address if anyone else on the board has any more questions for Max?
Yep, absolutely.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions?
Not at this time.
Nobody else? Okay, Ms. Turnbull, may I turn this over to you to start the process?
May. So again, we're going to start this by me asking if there is a motion to open nominations for the open position of school board director.
Second.
Make the
Thank you.
motion. All right, well, we definitely have two, so June, you can assign that appropriately. All those in favor of opening nominations, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Are there any opposed? Hearing none, we will move to nominations. Are there any nominations for the position of school board director?
I move for Mr. Metz.
Okay.
Mr. Metz?
That's correct.
Thank
I
you.
nominate James Fabrizio.
Thank you. Are there any other nominations? Hearing none, is there a motion to close nominations?
So moved.
Is there a
Second.
second? Thank you. All those in favor of closing nominations, please.
Aye.
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 Are there any opposed? Hearing none, we have two nominees for the position of school board director, Mr. Metz and Mr. James Fabrizio. I'll ask the board secretary to take a roll call on the first name, and then we'll, for this, we will need five votes as the majority for our current board.
All right.
Okay. Miss Manganello,
Yes.
Miss Curtis,
This is for Mr. Metz or Fabrizio?
Mr. Metz?
Mr. Metz, yes.
Mr. Angus,
Yes.
Mr. Campbell,
No.
Mrs. Kehoe,
Yes.
Mrs. Mylan. Oh, I'm sorry. I had her on my list. Miss Pedigo,
No.
Miss Young,
No.
Miss Fisher,
Yes.
I think we might be missing a nomination.
Pardon, I didn't hear who.
Oh, that's okay. I somebody muted me, but I'm back. Hi. I think we might be missing a nomination for Kelly Ramasco.
Oh, I didn't hear one. I apologize. Ms. Turnbull, did you?
I believe it was earlier.
So again, I'm sorry, I didn't preface the nomination process this time. So with each of our separate vacancies, each is a standalone nomination process. So for this one, there were two names that were offered for the vacancy. That was Mr. Metz and Mr. Fabrizio. And certainly the other candidates would have also been eligible for the board members to move their names forward, and they chose not to before closing nominations. So with that, I believe that Mr. Metz is a successful
Okay. Maybe
candidate.
that should have been stated before this new nomination. Thank you.
No, you're welcome. And so with that, Mr. Metz, are you prepared to be sworn in, sir?
Yeah.
Well, good. All right. Can you turn that camera on for a second?
Yeah. How do you?
There you are. Hi.
Hi.
All right. I am going to ask that you raise your right hand.
All right.
All right. And repeat after me.
Yeah.
I solemnly swear or affirm
I solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support,
I will support,
obey,
obey,
and defend
and defend
the Constitution
the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and of this Commonwealth,
and of this Commonwealth.
and that I will discharge
I will discharge
the duties of my office
the duties of my office
with fidelity.
with fidelity.
All right, virtual handshake. And congratulations, you are now a sitting member of this board of school directors.
All right.
Congratulations, Bill.
Thank you.
And I will say for all three of the new members, there is a written oath of office that will follow in the mail or electronically. I'll notarize that too, but for our purposes this evening, the oral swearing in is sufficient. and that will get you started. So welcome.
All right.
All right.
Thank you.
And again, I would like to reiterate before we move on, again, to the members that were not appointed this evening to please stay involved. There were many great resumes there, and I think you can do a lot of good in the district by supporting and volunteering, and we would appreciate if you would continue. So I need a motion to adjourn the meet and discuss voting agenda, correct?
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. So I need another motion to open the meet and discuss. Is that correct, Ms. Turnbull?
Yes.
So moved.
Thank you. Second?
I'll say
All in favor?
aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. So we can move on with the agenda. The meet and discuss board meeting of the Ambridge Area School District is held on Wednesday, August 12, 2020. This meeting is being held to go over the agenda for the regular monthly board meeting that will be held on Wednesday, August 19, 2020 at 7 p.m. virtually. We've already completed the flag salute and the notice as well. Can I have a roll call, please?
Miss Manganello,
Here.
Miss Curtis,
Here.
Mr. Angus,
Here.
Mr. Campbell,
Here.
Mrs. Kehoe,
Here.
Miss Pedigo,
Here.
Miss Young,
Here.
Mrs. Fisher,
Here.
Mr. Metz,
Here.
9 present.
Thank you. Do we have any correspondence this evening?
I have one correspondence that I did not read earlier, and it is from Jackie Stranko from Economy Borough. And Jackie is asking, was a permanent nurse hired for the high school?
Dr. Pascarella?
We have been interviewing. We hope to have somebody in the near future, but to date, not yet. But we're working on it.
Okay, thank you. Moving on, we do not have any student teacher.
Kathy, I do have correspondence, I'm sorry, from the Lachlan Memorial Library.
Oh, I apologize. Go ahead.
All right, they do want to thank the board for their generous donation, and they look forward to working with the district and the students in the future.
Thank you. Moving on to student teacher recognition, we have nothing to report this evening. Presentations, nothing to report, correct, Dr. Pascarella? No presentations this evening.
No.
Thank you. Moving forward with public comment regarding agenda items only. In light of the state declared disaster emergency, the board has adopted modified public meeting and public comment processes consistent with the Sunshine Law. These modified rules have been published in a newspaper of general circulation and on the district's website. Public comments received in advance of this virtual meeting by the board secretary will now be read.
I have no more comments.
Thank you. Ms. Turnbull?
Yes.
We are scheduled to discuss athletics, and I was concerned that maybe we might have some parents out there that may have some questions in regards to that or statements. I should wait until we get to that area, and then are we still open for discussion for that we can take comments on that?
Yep, that's always a matter of board prerogative, and typically the board president.
All right, so I'll do that once we get to the area. Thank you. Moving on to committee reports, education and technology. Mrs. Manganello?
Yes, could we scroll the page since I don't have another copy, please? Thank you. Number 1, memorandum of understanding. It is recommended to hereby approve the memorandum of understanding between the Ambridge Area School District and the Board of School Directors of the Beaver Valley Intermediate Unit number 27 for the purchase of increased bandwidth through the regional wide area network service vendor for consortium. Number 2, it is recommended to approve a cyber service agreement with the Beaver Valley Academy of Choice for the implementation of the Ambridge Area School District Cyber Academy effective for the 2020-2021 school year, subject to final solicitor review. Number 3, it is recommended to approve an agreement letter with the National Science Foundation Pittsburgh Technical College to provide Ambridge Area School District students to take a new dual enrollment course and earn college credit as presented. I'm not sure if there's more, and that would be it.
Any other questions? Any questions in regards to any of them? Okay, moving forward to finance and budget, Ms. Pedigo.
Yes, thank you, Mrs. President. I have 2 items for discussion this evening. Item number 1 and item number 2 are both the monthly bills and salaries for the school district and the cafeteria. Any discussion?
No? Okay. Thank you. Moving forward to building and grounds, Mr. Angus.
There are no items to present this evening.
Athletics, Mr. Campbell.
Nothing to report at this time.
Just the point of information, the information on the reopening of athletics.
Correct, but we're gonna discuss that later, correct?
Well,
Right
we're gonna
now.
right now. Yes.
Oh, I apologize. I thought we were
That's
discussing
okay.
it
No,
towards
that's
the end.
okay. That's
Yeah.
all right. So I'd like to open the floor up. Any board members? First of all, Mrs. Lucatordo, can you speak a little bit upon the PIAA and WPIAL and what direction right now we are in?
Well, it's been complicated and really fun right now. But where we are is the WPIAL executive director, Amy Schuneman, came out and was expressed concern about the governor's recent guidance of waiting until January 1st to begin sport. They've asked, as the PIAA has asked, to have some more conversations, and the PIAA has now scheduled a meeting for August 21st to begin, or August 21st to talk about continuing as we can. The MAC and Southwest Conference athletic directors met this afternoon from 4 to 6:30 and discussed a lot of issues. Currently where we are is we're allowed to have voluntary workouts, much the same as before. First practices for all sports would start on August 24th.
Ava not coming over?
Mrs. Lucatordo, we up for discussion tonight is, as far as the board, and we'll take questions. First, let me ask Dr. Pascarilla to weigh in first, and then we'll address the board, and then we'll open it for questions.
Okay, well, thank you. It's a difficult weigh-in, as you know. I mean, I believe that athletics, the arts, music are so important for our students, so this is difficult. But, you know, I've always looked at things from the realm of safety. We've put together excellent plans. I think our group that came up with a lot of the plan in and around athletics put a good plan together. However, I do have some concerns because we've had some positive tests of COVID, and I'm concerned that there's a chance that this could spread and it could impact the safety of others. So at this given point, you know, I defer to the board. If it is your decision that you want us to do it, we'll continue to try to put together the best plans we possibly can to keep folks safe. But just recently you could see some, you know, major college conferences that are canceling athletics at this point. I think that is telling, and that, you know, it is very difficult to be able to do this no matter how bad we do want to do it for our kids. And myself, I'll speak for myself, and I know it's a majority of the folks, we want this really bad for our kids. But it just seems like at this given point, to be honest with you, I don't see how it's going to work out without additional, you know, positive COVID tests. And for me, the most important thing that I could do and recommend is to keep everyone safe. So we'll do whatever the board directs us to do and work on that. But from my seat, I do have and had and still do have grave concerns about opening it up and our ability to stop the spread amongst our student athletes that would then go possibly to our community or entire student population. So it's very unfortunate with a heavy heart. I say that, but that is the truth on how I feel at this given point, that I have some significant concerns as to whether or not I'd be recommending anything other than erring on the side of caution. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Pasquarello. Board members, if you could please weigh in, give me some feedback.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
So my opinion on it is I feel like we need to get back to practice for our sports that we can. Obviously, girls soccer and cheerleading are probably in a different situation, considering that we did have 2 positive cases for girls soccer, and also one that one of those young ladies was at cheerleading practice. But I feel like if we push back, we're doing our kids a disservice at this point in time if we plan on putting them through into a season. And with that being said, I don't feel like the cases that were at different sports should affect the other sports that are out there right now that are going on at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Campolone. Who else?
I had a statement. The WIPIAL and the PIAA have stated that they have not determined at this time cancellation of the seasons. They are in favor because data and science is showing that right now there is no proven theory based on our governor's one statement before he walked off the stage. Therefore, should we not wait as a district to follow what we have of PIAA Board of Directors and our WPIAL Board of Directors, who we as taxpayers also help fund those organizations, and they are providing information and have released a lot of statements recently over sport. I think that we would be jumping the gun as a district if we decide anything at this time. And I would like to wait, and even if we have to reconvene a board meeting as an emergency board meeting, as we're permitted by law, to then reconvene when the WIPIAL asks us if we are going to participate or not. But at this time, I don't feel that we have data or anything behind us for us to make a decision prior to the WIPIAL and PIAA.
I agree with Denise's statement as far as the information. Addie, can you tell me if, are you getting any other feedback from any of the other ADs contemplating decisions? I'm just wondering, just for my peace of mind.
Yeah, so like I said, the MAC and the Southwest Conference, the MAC is primarily our senior high sports, and the Southwest Conference is primarily our middle school sports. We met today, and one of the things we discussed was whether or not we could safely hold championships, because that's one of the things the MAC does. And as a group, it was voted that we did not think we could safely hold large championships for most of the sports. Now, there is not a championship for football, for example, but we discussed, in soccer and that kind of thing, but we discussed, for example, cross country and how large a race that would be and how we could make that work. Volleyball with the restrictions of 25 people in a space. Some of our participating schools in the conference are from Allegheny County, and they're under stricter numbers than the 250 for an outside venue. They're under the Allegheny County restriction of 50 currently. And so that makes things complicated for them to hold events. I personally voted to try to keep our golf teams championships if we were able to do that, but taking a look at the number of participants and hopefully girls tennis. But even with girls tennis, for example, you can't play on courts next to each other. So the number of courts it would take to hold a tournament in one day would be complicated for any of our facilities in that group. So, you know, and I understand what everybody's talking about here. That's, I was an athletic trainer for 25 years. My concern is the long-term outcomes of this illness for people. And, you know, we hear a lot that students aren't necessarily impacted, but I would be concerned what maybe a longer-term impact that we just don't know. And, you know, I'm also concerned about the children who live with grandparents and extended family, and keeping everyone in the community safe. That's been what I've said to our coaches from the beginning, is we'll do the best we can to make sports happen. And I feel that we did that. And I feel that we would have to take a look at our plan to see if we need to make some corrections.
Addie, has there been any talk of kind of swapping seasons, doing some, you know, maybe playing football in the spring? I'm just throwing it out there to see if there's been any discussion.
Yeah.
In regards.
So it's happened at a level above us. Dave McBain is the athletic director that represents us at the WIPIAL. And they've had some discussion at the board level that hasn't trickled down. I think had we gotten this guidance from the governor more quickly earlier in the summer, we could have, you know, made some things happen that's going to make it's going to make it more difficult. Can you do, you know, your winter sports January, February, your fall sports March, April, your spring sports May, June? The logistics of that is complicated, but you know, that's what we do. We do logistics.
Okay. Addie, are they not voting on that on the 24th?
They are having a PIAA board meeting on the 21st.
That's what I heard, the 21st.
Yeah, the 21st. Okay. They're having a board meeting. We are allowed to do voluntary activities right now. In our case, we do not. A couple other things that were shared. I don't know if you've heard of Blackhawks situation. They went into a 14-day shutdown from a positive case. Beaver had a positive case that had much contact with their soccer programs. Other ADs shared informally at the meeting that they've had closures that haven't necessarily made the news. So there have been other schools, primarily in Allegheny County, that haven't made the news, like Ambridge, Beaver, and Blackhawk have made. So I think we feel like we're on our own. We're really not.
Okay. Any other board member feedback, comments?
I have a question for Megan Turnbull. If we allowed the sports to continue and someone gets, say a student gets COVID and God forbid does not recover, are we liable?
Oh, big question, huh? I think one thing that the board hears me say from time to time is that, you know, we have no way of preventing people from suing us. There's this question about whether or not they would ultimately be successful. I think that's an open question under principles of sovereign immunity. I think it depends really largely on, you know, whether we proceed with an appropriate level of care through the process based on the information that we have. Certainly, if there were orders from either the Department of Health, the Pennsylvania Department of Education, I mean, like an actual order from someplace, we would follow that, and we would follow that without hesitation. Unfortunately, most of our state level leaders have been happy to use this moment to celebrate local control in many things and in many ways, which just puts it squarely on our shoulders. So it's difficult to know. I know that there have been legislative discussions, again, in Harrisburg, led by probably PASBO and PSBA, to get some legislation to make it crystal clear that whether it's in our classrooms or on our playing fields, that we, so long as we're using an appropriate level of care, following our safety plans, are not liable. Right now, I can't say with certainty that that is going, that's a silver, that we have a silver bullet to fight that case. So I think we do the best we can. I know that your team and the board has adopted a health and safety plan. That's a work in progress for athletics and for the classrooms. You'll probably continue to look at that and evaluate it. If we do move forward in this interim period with voluntary activities, I would imagine that we'll continue to implement those things. If we get positive cases, then we will take appropriate actions. And there may be sports, again, specific teams, or it may be larger programs that again are temporarily suspended. I think that's just the reality of where we are right now. I think from working with the administration, both on some of these student issues, but also on the personnel ones, one of our biggest challenges right now is the quality and the speed of contact tracing from at the county level or from anywhere outside of voluntary reporting from parents. It's really shaky, and without that as a solid link, it is very difficult for us to manage the community spread. So I think the athletic director is correct. You are going to do the best, and we're going to continue to do the best that we can if that is the course directed by the board. Is it possible that, and hopefully it doesn't happen, is it possible that some adverse outcome comes from doing so? Yes, it is. But I think we proceed with in the best ways that we can with the information that we have at any one time. That's the best that you can do right now.
Megan, correct me if I'm wrong though. Is it not the county's responsibility for the contact tracing, not the school districts? So that is not our responsibility as a district for that.
No, it largely is. I mean, that's the way the system is at least built fundamentally for us to rely. And so, Mr. King, your pandemic coordinator is on I'm sure a first name basis with most of the people over at the Beaver County Health Department right now, because he's calling on a regular basis, looking for guidance, looking for information. But I think our problem is I think some of the situations that we have encountered in this short period of time is that we are finding out potential cases or confirmed cases from the affected individuals directly, and not always from the health department. And so then once we know, I think that's the moment that I think to be prudent and to protect the district in the best ways that we can, in the ways that Mrs. Kehoe is kind of raising, then we do have to look around. And even though we're like the last, the last place of defense, if it comes on our radar, if it shows up and we're aware of it, then our plan, we do have to take action. And I think what you've seen in the last couple of weeks is a result of your administrators taking it really seriously, and even at times without the direct support of some of those larger county or statewide services, just knowing that we need to keep kids and staff and coaches and everyone safe to the best of our ability. So it would, that might get better over time. We have to hope that some of those systems strengthen, because a lot of our ultimate success is truly dependent on those systems working well.
One other thing that I would add is I did take the contact tracing course myself through Johns Hopkins and complete that course so that hopefully I can assist Mr. King. So I did go through the 6-hour course on that.
Thank you, Eddie. Any other more board feedback? I will ask anybody on the meeting this evening, we're having some technical difficulties, but if you want to raise your little hand for chat, and we'll try to take as many questions as we can and try to answer. But I wanted to ask if there's any other board feedback before we do that.
Kathy, my thought would be that we wait till after the meeting on the 21st to do any action other than what we've already done.
And I'm in agreement with that as well.
I agree with Scott also.
Any other comments before we open the chat up?
Yeah, I have a comment. I think, I mean, with the Addie, I commend you as far as the athletic director and the coaches. I think, I mean, I err on the side of caution. I have athletes, but I think our coaching staff has done an amazing job. I mean, other than the 3 positive cases, and I pray the students are getting better, getting well. I'm thankful they're doing well, but we see all the negative things that are going on. And I do agree with Addie. We don't see all the schools that are going through it. We only see our school. We see the 2 other schools that are in the news. We don't see all the other schools that are going, they have this, this, and this. We have 3 cases as of right now. I pray we don't have multiple, but our example, I've seen it, I've been by the school. Our football staff, our coaches are doing an amazing job with these athletes. So I would rather, if we don't have to keep them prolonged or move them into the next fall or spring season, I mean, I want to err on the side of caution and keep everyone safe, our staff, our athletes, administrators, ourselves, then I understand that. But I'd rather not keep these students, I don't know, for lack of a better word, stagnant. I don't know another way of putting it. These young men are out there working very hard. They're doing their due diligence. They're getting to practice ahead of time as they're supposed to. They're getting their temperatures checked. They're doing exactly what they're supposed to do. So again, I commend the staff. I commend Addie for getting there. They're doing what they're supposed to do. These teams, whether it be basketball, volleyball, football, they're doing what they have to do. So if we can do something, and as far as us as the board can do something, or we can work on it together and create or figure out something to keep them going, I'm all for that. I would like to keep them going in a positive manner, in a positive format, but also keep them safe.
Anybody else on the board? June, are you?
Yes, I have Judy is raising her hand right now.
Oh yeah, before you open, Judy, I did have Dr. Pascarella and I discussed senior pictures and banners for more than football, correct, Addie? Did anybody else reach out?
I think Cheer was going to try to go ahead and take their senior pictures at Panic Park tomorrow.
Okay,
I know
so
that.
we're just talking like individual pictures, not the group pictures.
Correct. No group pictures at this time. And I think soccer was going to do something with drive-through appointments for letter jackets tomorrow or Friday as well.
Social distancing and not putting the kids together and.
Correct. It was going to be stay in your cars, do something.
I would only be concerned. I don't want the kids to miss out on whether they were going to miss out on their season or not. I can't speculate, but I certainly wouldn't want them to miss out. That's just my opinion. I'll ask for other board feedback, but I would really not prefer them to be left out of getting their senior banner. We can definitely social distance that and not bring 40 kids in at one time, as long as we're not talking about a group picture at this point. But I'll let the other board members weigh in on that if anybody has any concerns there or is not in agreement with me.
I agree with you, Kathy. We should
Okay.
we need
I
to
agree.
take care of that.
I
Okay.
agree also.
All right.
I agree.
Okay. Anybody else?
I agree too with you, Kathy.
All right. So I did get a text from the cheer coach, just so we know, which is a very good information. They are doing a photoshopped group pic. So they're doing the individual pictures and will not be in a group picture. So thank you, Jen, for that. All right. So Judy, I don't know if that was your question, but go ahead, hon, if you have another question.
How come? Kathy, that basically was my question, was to, if we at least can't get everyone's uniform, can we please get the seniors? We have 16 seniors. Speaking with Casey Neal, who is our photographer from Slick Six, we have already made arrangements to make sure everyone was staggered, so no one would be there all together at one time.
Yes. Arrangements for that.
We would just at least like to get the senior banners for football and cheer. And again, just as Jen said, football had no intentions of putting all them boys together. It was going to be a photo shot thing and mix them like that. But we would like, whether they play or not, they deserve the senior.
Judy,
I'm
do you
sorry,
have
what?
yours scheduled yet? Do you have yours scheduled at all yet?
We had them scheduled for tomorrow, but I don't know if we can get the uniforms, at least for the seniors in the morning.
You might have to push that next week, or are we able to push it to next week, Addie?
Yeah, that was what we were hoping to do. It's
Okay.
just the logistics of, we don't have our locker room open. We're in phase 2. So the kids still aren't allowed to be inside. So they haven't been, shoulder pads and helmet fitting. We can make stuff available to them to have the picture taken and get it back. So Judy and I can work on logistics. We've worked on logistics before.
Judy, is that good with you?
Yes, Addie, what I was told was Ronnie Wilson was willing to bring the shoulder pads and the uniforms out and let them change in the garage one at a time. That way no kid would be entering the school.
Yeah, we will come up with a plan. So
Okay.
How about we talk tomorrow, come up with a date and a plan, and we'll make it work.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Judy. June, anybody else?
No, I see no other hands raised.
Okay. Board, anybody else before we move on?
No.
All right. Okay.
Kathy?
I
Yes.
have a question. My hand's raised.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I can't see.
Teresa, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay, no problem. Now, as far as the cheer goes, we did have our photographs scheduled for tomorrow at Walter Panic Park. We scheduled them with social distancing where everybody, we're following all the guidelines that we have to, and that's where our photographer was meeting us. Are we allowed to go ahead with those pictures?
And you have your uniforms and everything?
Yes, we have everything.
I'm good with it, and if other board members could weigh in, you're
Yes.
Addie?
Yeah, I see no problem with it.
Okay, Addie?
Yes, I mean, when I talked to Coach Phillips today, she filled me in on what was going on, shared about scheduling, et cetera. And I think that, the boosters want to get this done for their kids, and we need to see if we can help them.
Sure. Jen Phillips, are you still on?
Yeah, I'm here.
Just if you could speak, I trust you all. So you're going to social distance and get your pictures, and you'll be able to get your banners ordered, correct?
Yeah, so all the girls will be showing up at like different times. I know Teresa can talk more about that because they scheduled it with the photographer. I wasn't under the assumption that I could be there yet because I know that we're delayed until, I guess, indefinitely right now. Just because like us having some soccer girls on our team, even though like there was no positive cases for cheer.
Right.
So right now I didn't even know if I was allowed to be there. So they are doing it.
The boosters is doing it.
Separate time. They have their own uniform. The photographers will be wearing masks. They're going to be outside. And that's about it.
Anybody else? Any other
Kathy,
board-
yes, Kathy, I have Randy Dawson next. He has his hand raised.
Go ahead, wait, Bran, just give me a minute. Anybody else on the board have a problem with cheer taking their pictures social distancing tomorrow? Any other concerns there?
No, I don't have no issue with that.
Okay. Anybody else? Any other comments on that? If not, we're going to say let them go ahead and get their senior banners. All right. Go ahead, Randy.
As the president for the band boosters, same question. We would like the same courtesy for our group. Our uniforms are out currently too being cleaned, but I had made arrangements to get seniors tomorrow, but then that was all canceled because what I heard, was going to happen tonight.
Yes, and it should be uniform for every group, in my opinion. And if the rest of the board is in agreement with that whatever organization, if it's soccer, if it's football, if it's band, that we should, honor it for each organization, that if you're planning on participating and getting senior banners, to follow the same process.
Yes.
Agreed.
Agreed.
Thank you, folks.
Sure.
I have another hand raised, Tori Robinson.
Go ahead, Tori.
Can you unmute her?
Yes, my question was, so is the football team going to be able to move on forward with practices starting this week, or is that also on hold?
So it looks like the consensus was that we are going to wait for the PIAA, the WPIAL's meeting on the 21st. Is everybody in agreement to that? That was what the general
That was
consensus?
the consensus.
Okay, all right. So once we have that meeting and see moving forward what the PIAA and WPIAL are considering, then we'll have more information. We may have to call a special meeting for that. So we'll try to keep you updated after the meeting as well.
Okay, thank you. That's all I had.
Sure, sure. Anyone else, June?
Yes, Jackie.
Sure, go ahead, Jackie.
What's the status of thermometers for the school?
Is Keith on here, Dr. Pascarella?
Yes, he is.
I'm here. We do have thermometers for each of the schools, and they will be ready to go on day one.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
I don't see anyone else.
Kathy,
All
so
right.
just to recap and finish that off, just
Yes.
to repeat, I understand it, but, and that's what I was saying. I just wanted to hold until you guys had a chance to have a conversation, but it seems to me like for all pictures, for all groups, if they put a plan together that they clear with Addie, then they could set up a social distanced opportunity to be able to take the photos for all groups. And then
Correct.
for sports, there will be no activity until after we see the results of the August 21st meeting from the PIAA.
Correct.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else before we move forward? Okay, moving forward to public relations. Mrs. Curtis, that's going to be your chair, but there's nothing there to report this evening.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. June, if you could add Mrs. Curtis on for the chair of that committee and also Mrs. Manganello for the education and technology.
Okay.
Thank you. Steering and rules, Mrs. Kehoe.
I have nothing for discussion this evening.
Legislative, Ms. Young.
Nothing to report at this time.
Thank you. Sunshine law. Mrs. Miller.
Yes, the Board of School Directors held an executive session on Tuesday, July 28th and Wednesday, August 12th to discuss personnel matters subject to attorney-client privilege and other confidentiality laws.
Thank you. Can you move the screen down a little, please? All right, I have a motion on the floor to adjourn. Can I get, thank you. Can I have a second?
A second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Kathy, are we meeting again after this, the board?
Do we need to?
Yeah, I have something I want to bring up.
Okay, Megan, Ms. Turnbull?
Yeah, so we just then need to make a note that we're going to move into executive session. Mr. Campbell, can you just, is it a personnel matter or a legal matter?
Could be legal.
Okay, well, let's call it legal, and if we have to update that at our next meeting next week, then we'll make that note for the public at that time.
Yeah, it's going to be real easy.
Okay.
So, do we use the old thing, Kath?
So the motion to adjourn and reconvene to executive session.
Okay.
Yes, and use the old link.
All right, very good.
Will
Thanks.
will somebody email us the link?
Yes, you can reuse the link in your invitation.
From
You'll have to send it out to the new members, June.
Okay, I'll send that now.
Which,
A second, Kathy.
Thank you. Thank you, Valerie.
June, before you end that, we may not have an email set up for them yet. So if the three new members would like to just, I'm just trying to think of how to get that to you.
I have their emails there when they sent their resumes and things in to me.
Sorry, June, you're always on it. You'll send them the link then. Thank
I'll
you.
send them the link.
Mhm.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
Have a good
you.
night. Thanks for attending.
Good night.